Okay, it's 5 o'clock and I'm going to call this meeting to order. I call this meeting of the Northwest Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that the notice of the meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code 551. Okay, at this time, members of the board, we will move to agenda item 3, which is to hear and consider a level 3 appeal. In accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.0821, excuse me, the board may conduct this hearing in closed session at the request of the parent or the student if the student is over 18. Victoria Gonzalez, do you request that the hearing be conducted in closed session? So I note that the complainant has requested that the hearing be conducted in open session. We will proceed with the hearing in the boardroom. Board members, do you have a need to consult with our attorney with procedure steps, or are you good? Everyone okay? All right. All right. We are reconvening in open session at 5:01. Welcome. My name is Judy Kopp. I am president of the Board of Trustees. For the record, today is Monday, May 13th, 2019. The board is now convened for the purpose of hearing a level 3 appeal brought by Victoria Gonzalez in accordance with board policy F&G local. This proceeding will be audio recorded to ensure that an accurate record is kept. The board has attorney Christy Hobbs to advise the board during the course of the hearing. Ms. Hobbs is not a fact finder but will assist me as board president in conducting the hearing if necessary. The board's consultation in closed session with legal counsel will not be recorded, nor will any deliberations. For the record, each person is asked to state his or her name, reason for attendance, and relationship to the complainant if applicable. We will start with the board members. And I've already said I'm Judy Kopp, the board president.
Lillian Roush, board secretary. Christy Hobbs, attorney for the school district.
Ann Simpson, board member, vice president.
Mark Schluter, board member.
Okay. For the record, a quorum is present to hear this grievance. At this time, I would like to instruct all participants to please avoid talking when another person is speaking so that the recording will accurately reflect the proceedings. Further, please make your oral statements as clear and complete as possible. Remember that the recording will not reflect gestures or any form of nonverbal communication. This hearing will be conducted as an administrative presentation in accordance with applicable policy and law. It will be based on the record made from the previous hearings. The board members have been supplied with a copy of this record, and the complainant has also been provided a copy prior to today's meeting. No new evidence shall be presented or considered. The record includes the following documents: the Level 1 complaint, the Level 1 decision, the Level 2 appeal, the Level 2 decision, any documents presented at Level 1 and 2 by the complainant, any documents relied upon by Level 1 and 2 hearing officers in reaching their decision, the Level 3 appeal, all documents attached to the Level 3 appeal, and documents and the administration intends to present at Level 3. Dr. Ferris, as the representative for Northwest ISD Administration, have the documents you intended to present at Level 3 been provided to the complainant in accordance with board policy?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. The board members have been provided with a copy of this information prior to tonight's board meeting in order to familiarize themselves with the material that has been included in the record. This is not a formal legal proceeding like a trial in a court. No strict rules of evidence or procedure will apply during this grievance hearing. The hearing is an appeal to the board regarding the denial of the complainant's Level 2 appeal under board policy F&G legal and F&G local regarding the application of board policy EIC local to selection of graduates with high honors. Each party will have an opportunity to make its presentation to the board. The parties will not be permitted to cross-examine each other. There will be an opportunity for the members of the board to ask questions of either party's counsel and witnesses. Board members are not subject to questioning by the administration, complainant, legal counsel, or any witness. The board's decision must be supported by the record made from the previous hearings. Because this is an appeal of a Level 2 decision, the complainant will present her argument first. This presentation will be followed by the administration's presentation. The complainant and the administration will each be granted 10 minutes to make their presentation. The vote will be taken in open session following the hearing this evening. However, the board may choose to table this decision until the next regularly scheduled board meeting. Does anyone have any questions as to how this hearing will be conducted? Are there any initial procedural matters that need to be discussed? Okay, now that we have reviewed the procedures for the hearing, it is time to determine the qualifications of the board members to hear and consider the Level 3 appeal. If any board member or any member of the board feels that he or she cannot do so, the board member should say so at this time and not participate in the hearing. Okay. Let the record reflect that each member of the board present has indicated that he or she can consider the information presented at this hearing and make a decision in a fair and impartial manner. Mrs. Gonzalez, who will be making the presentation on your behalf. Okay. You have 10 minutes to make your presentation to the board. The Secretary of the Board of Trustees will keep the time and will indicate to you when you have approximately 2 minutes left in your allotted time. You may proceed with your presentation at this time.
Esteemed members of the board, good evening. Thank you for all that you do for the students at Northwest ISD and for taking a moment to hear my Level 3 petition. I am here this evening because I have been denied honors recognition for graduation. Even though my GPA calculated according to NISD guidelines earned my position as 8th in my class, circumstances beyond my control forced me to be a homeless student moving into a district with less than 4 full semesters. I would truly like to thank Dr. Warren and Mr. Blankenship for their efforts to rectify the situation. I was touched and honored that they would consider creating a special honor of superintendent's graduate and escort me to the top 10 banquet. Their gestures show that they love and support the students in this district. It is for that reason that I could not accept such a selfish proposal to remedy only my situation when this situation leaves the door open for others to suffer from the same issue. I am not here to completely disregard the current policy. Like all laws and policies, they were made for a time and a place, but I no longer believe that those circumstances pertain to Northwest ISD. I understand the purpose of the policy and do not believe in GPA/rank shopping, but I do believe that students should not be punished for a situation that they have no control over. I am here today to propose an amendment to Board Policy EIC Local as found in Section 14 of your papers. This amendment would take every case that falls under this policy on a case-by-case basis to consider all aspects of the student's relocation, root out GPA/rank shopping, and recognize those who deserve honors recognition. In the Level 2 response found in Section 7 of your meeting notes, the committee stated that the decision to deny honors recognition did not discriminate against me in any legal manner. I am no expert on the law, but I know discrimination and will provide multiple counterexamples to demonstrate how EIC Local not only discriminates against several population groups, but also serves to widen a wealth gap within our district. Our policy, while unintentionally, directly targets children of low socioeconomic status. According to a brief written by Y. Aratani for the University of Columbia National Center for Children in Poverty, children in low-income families are twice as likely as other children to have moved in the past year and 3 times as likely to live in families that rent a home. This applies more than ever to our district, with apartments popping up only an exit away from Eaton. That means that our policy effectively makes it impossible for lower-income children who are forced to move from district to district to receive graduation honors, even if they had to put in more effort to attain the same results as those who had the privilege of remaining in a stable family setting. Secondly, our policy targets the children of our nation's heroes. We live in a community that is near Naval Joint Reserve Base, and we have students of active duty, reserve, and guard military personnel. These children are forced to follow their parents from base to base as their parents fight for our freedom. Because of their frequent moves, there's a strong possibility that they might have to enter our district with less than the required 4 semesters remaining. Why should we dishonor their sacrifice by denying their children due recognition, which is what our policy currently would do? Thirdly, EIC Local targets the children of NISD staff members. Teachers are often transferred from district to district and even within the same district and bring their children along with them. These kids are often some of our best and brightest in their class. For example, Eaton's former valedictorian Claudia Oster, daughter of Eaton's own Mr. Jeffrey Oster. Our policy would reward a new teacher to our district by denying graduation honors to their children. I believe that EIC Local was created for a noble purpose, to prevent a trend of class rank shopping where students of larger schools who are on the fringe or outside of the top 10 would transfer to open enrollment districts, often smaller, rural, or underperforming to attain a better placement. Northwest ISD no longer fits that description, and it is time that we amend the policy to prevent discrimination, help close the wealth disparity, and do what is best for every student. We need to change EIC Local so that it provides graduation honors to those who have worked hard and maintain the highest academic standards, regardless of how long their family had the privilege of staying in a single location. I stand here before you today not only speaking for myself, but for others. 2 weeks ago, I started a petition in support of adding the proposed amendment. In only a matter of 4 days, I managed to gain over 400 verifiable signatures of support, not only from Eaton students of all grades, but staff as well, only presenting the same information that I have given you today, as you can read in the petition letterhead. If you will flip to section 10 of your notes, you can flip through and read each of these names, all verifiable by the phone number or email next to their signature. It has more than 20 teacher signatures and includes 9 of the current top 10 students as well. The only one I am missing is because she was busy competing at the state level during this time. There is support for this amendment, and I hope that you consider all the information I have presented to you and do what is best for the students of Northwest ISD. On that note, because I'm so confident of my argument, I would like to now present you with my personal story and circumstances, as if I would if you were reviewing my case under this amendment. I would like to start with my life after leaving Northwest ISD after attending it from 1st to 5th grade. I would have loved to stay at Northwest and never had to leave. But my stepfather started doing drugs and became violent and abusive. My mom decided it was time to move when my father became physically abusive towards me. We moved to a small apartment in Euless, which we maintained for about a year. My stepfather was not the only one with a drug problem, and my mom had lost her job and our apartment. I spent a few months living with a family friend, and after that, moving between hotels for about 10 months. My mom was arrested 2 months after my stepfather was released, and he obtained legal custody of my brother, 7 years younger than me. When she got arrested, I became homeless and relied on the grace of friends to open their doors for me. I lived like that for 7 months before my grandparents stepped in. I lived with my grandparents for 3 years before circumstances caused me to have moved in with my Uncle Michael, who lives in Sendera Ranch. After 4 months, he decided that raising a teenager was too much for him, and he left me at school a week before my birthday and told admin not to let me ride the bus home. My home was no longer my home. CPS got involved once again, and thankfully my Uncle Chris stepped in and opened his doors for me, and this is where I have been for a little over a year now. I moved to Eaton very abruptly, seeking a home and a happy place to return to, and happy to return to my first remembrance of loving school. During all my moves and personal depression, I was able to maintain my grades, but I brought those high grades and dedication with me to Eaton. I had no control over the circumstances that I was handed in life, but I have used them as fuel to thrive. In my 3, not 4, consecutive semesters at Eaton, I have represented Northwest ISD at the state level 3 times, becoming a state finalist for Eaton DECA. I am the captain of the Eaton Robotics team, which competed at state 2 times under my guidance and once at Worlds. I am the founder of the Eaton Girls Who Code Club. I compete for Eaton UIL Computer Science Academics, winning silver at district last year. I am a CTE district ambassador for 2 of the 27 pathways. I am an AP scholar with distinction. I am a National Hispanic Scholar, and I have a full ride to Rice University starting in the fall. I proudly represent not only Eaton, but Northwest ISD as a whole. I did not move to jump rank If anything, I was already rank 5 out of my senior class of 824 before I moved. It is time to put children first and add this amendment and consider my case to be represented in the top 10. I plead with you to not take your time on this matter. Graduation is only in 3 weeks, and senior celebrations start next week. If you are afraid of any backlash from the decision to add this amendment, or grant me the honors of attending the top 10 dinner, sitting on stage at graduation with the gold cord, and all the recognition of being in top 10, then I suggest this as a solution to you for this year. Thank you. Then I suggest this as a solution to you for this year. Being that it is so close to graduation, why not grant the rank 11 person all the honors as well? I would hate to strip away the recognition that they have already been told that they will receive just to give it to me. I do not want someone else to have to suffer the way I have. My policy is an inclusive policy, and I believe that not only I should get these honors, but if somebody else was already told that they were to receive them, I would hate to take that away and make them feel the way that I have felt. Thank you for your time. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Members of the board, I'm going to ask that you hold your questions, if any, until the conclusion of the presentation of both sides. Who will be making the presentation on behalf of the administration? Okay, Dr. Ferris, you have 10 minutes to make the presentation on behalf of the administration. The secretary will keep the time and will indicate to you when you have approximately 2 minutes left in your allotted time. You may proceed with your presentation at this time.
Thank you. On behalf of the administration and the district, we also want to express our pride in Tori and the accomplishments that she's had. As she mentioned off, she's been recognized and will be as a top 10% graduate under the same policy that we're reviewing tonight. AP Scholar with Distinctions, National Hispanic Recognition Program. She's an Eagle Scholar, UIL Scholar, DECA State Finalist, Robotics State Finalist. The list goes on and on. We're very, very proud of her. However, unfortunately, we are here today to look at one specific recognition that Tori did not meet the requirements under NISD, EIC Local as a graduate with high honors. Tori enrolled at Eaton High School on January 9th, 2018, and has been continuously enrolled for 3 semesters preceding graduation, but not continuously for the 2 years immediately preceding graduation. Victoria was made aware of the graduate with high honors criteria in June of 2018. In March of 2019, she addressed this board in open meeting very well, I might add, as part of the public participation, and addressed her concerns about policy EIC Local, which outlined the criteria for being named as a graduate with high honors. Northwest ISD Board Policy EIC Local outlines the criteria for graduates recognized as high honor graduates, stating that the district shall recognize at graduation ceremony as graduates with high honors the students in the graduating class who have been continuously enrolled in the same district high school for the 2 years immediately preceding the graduation with the 10 highest class ranks. On March 19th, after this meeting, Tori met with campus administration, and they shared with her the process for completing a grievance under FNG Local, which she submitted the next day. A Level 1 hearing was scheduled for March 25th with Mr. Blankenship serving as the hearing officer. During the Level 1 hearing, Ms. Gonzalez requested the following relief. She wanted to repeal Northwest ISD Board Policy EIC Local, consider it on a case-by-case basis students that are affected in the policy, and to name her as a graduate with high honors for Eaton High School for the class of 2019, including the awardance of a gold cord, a seat on the stage at graduation, invitation to the top 10 dinner, and the accolades with high honor graduate, as she mentioned earlier. At this time, also that it was determined that no discrimination was made against her. That was part of the Level 1 hearing. Most of the relief that Victoria seeks has already been granted or offered, and I'll outline some of that in my presentation. In April, the board directed administration to review the board policy EIC Local in light of Tori's concern and recommended possible changes for future classes coming in as freshmen. At Level 1, Principal Blankenship denied the relief requested since Ms. Gonzalez was not continuously enrolled in the same district high school for the same 2 years immediately preceding graduation as outlined in NISD policy EIC local. At level 1, Mr. Blankenship did invite Tori to attend the Eaton High School Honor Graduate Banquet and dinner, which is the top 10 dinner, as an honored guest. At level 2, Tori was assured that there would be no discrimination against her. She was offered, again, recognition as a superintendent scholar, which would grant her most of the privileges of a high honor graduate, including special recognition at graduation, a gold cord, and a seat on the stage at graduation. Victoria declined this offer of recognition as a superintendent scholar and the accompanying accolades. The decisions outlined in my presentation are given, in this case, are fair, appropriate, and consistent with district policy and procedure and should be upheld, and the relief requested should be denied is the recommendation of administration. Just to give you a quick overview, as we said, Tori was made aware of the honor graduate criteria, a high honor graduate criteria in 2018 at the end of the school year. She did speak at the board meeting, as we said. Mr. Blankenship conducted the level 1, and I'll be giving you an overview of the grievance process that she exercised. In the fall of 2018, she met with Principal Mike Blankenship and the EHS counselors, including Irene Myers. At that time, she was made aware of the policy EIC local would likely prevent her from being recognized as a top 10 honor graduate. Ms. Myers explained how the policy applied it to her circumstances. As Victoria stated in the level, I'll just keep talking, that's okay. You just throw something at me when I'm done. As Victoria stated in the level 2 hearing, she declined to take any action to appeal this at that time. Board policy F&G local does require that complaints be filed within 15 days of when the student or parent first knew or should have known of the decision or the actions giving rise to the grievance. Complaints were not timely filed. Complaints that are not timely filed may be dismissed at any point during the grievance process, as you can see in tab 12 of your binder. However, in March 18, 2019, she did address the board, and following that, we did move through the grievance process despite. Northwest, as I said, Northwest ISD policy for local honors and honor graduates does state that the district shall recognize at the graduation ceremony as graduates with high honors the student of the graduating class who has been continuously enrolled in the district for the 2 years immediately preceding graduation and the 10 highest class ranks. I'm going to move down for time. At the level 1, she did receive the written response that denied the request based on continuous enrollment, at which time at level 2, Victoria submitted the same request to the district office. Victoria's appeals did appeal to level 2. I think where said this piece. On March 26, 2019, Tori was notified in writing with a level 1 written response that she does not meet the criteria to be recognized as a graduate with high honors. Thank you. As you'll see in tab 3, as stated, Victoria has met the requirements for a variety of recognitions, including being recognized as the top 10% graduate as outlined in the same policy on tab 14. On April 17th, Tori was notified in writing of the level 2 written response, which offered additional relief she was seeking. As noted, she declined the additional relief to be recognized as a superintendent scholar. A couple of points of clarification. I do want to note from the administration standpoint that Tori was notified of this in June 2018 by her counselor as well as campus administration. To reiterate that the criteria for Northwest ISD Board Policy EIC Local and the recognition of local graduation honors for graduates with high honors has been consistently applied by campus administration. Although Tori does not meet the criteria, okay, thank you. I have 2 minutes, not 10, okay? Well, I'll move ahead Both level 1 and level 2 were upheld. There was additional relief granted at level 2 that Tori did decline. And she's filed her level 3 that we're here tonight to hear, in which she asked to repeal Northwest ISD Board Policy ESC Local, consider honor graduates on case-by-case basis, allow her to be recognized as a graduate with high honors. Again, Northwest ISD states, or just policy states, for the criteria of local graduation honors for high honors, that the district shall recognize at the graduation ceremonies those that have been continuously enrolled for 4 semesters or 2 years. Pursuant to NISD EIC Local, the campus administration reasonably applied the criteria for designating the local graduation honors with high honors, which is why we are requesting that the decision be upheld. I'll close there.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris.
Both of you. We've never had it over 3 minutes, so for some reason we thought it was supposed to ring at 5 and 3. I apologize.
Okay, thank you. Members of the board, now we have time for questions. And I have one. For Dr. Warren, the superintendent scholar, in making our decision, I know this said it was a one-time offer. Would that still be possible in us making our decision?
Mrs. Cobb, as Tori and Dr. Ferris explained, I made that offer at level 2, and as we both explained, Tori turned me down cold. That was a relief at level 2. I would really recommend that when you go back and discuss it, I would recommend you will discuss making that a part of any of the 3 relief that you might consider. Again, just because of the circumstances, and because of her confidence. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
First, I want to thank Ms. Gonzalez for being here. It's a very brave thing to do, become before school board, and you're very articulate, and I thank you for your accomplishments. It's been awesome. My question is for Dr. Ferris. You had mentioned the consecutive semesters. How many partial semesters or 6 weeks did she complete prior to the last 3 semesters?
She enrolled in January of that year prior. You're talking about in high school?
Yes, sir.
For high school, she attended the spring semester of her junior year, and then she's been concurrently enrolled both fall and spring of this year.
Okay, so other than those last 3 consecutive, she wasn't enrolled at all prior to that?
I'm sure I understand your question. So the fall of 2017, her junior year?
Okay, so she had a partial fall semester?
No, she enrolled after the break.
Okay.
In January.
Ms. Gonzalez, you had a clarification? Okay. Very good. Thank you.
So to clarify, she's been enrolled her junior year, beginning in the 4th, 6th week, so 4, 5, and 6, which comprises our spring semester, and then all of this year, which
Okay.
is 3 semesters. I'm sorry, that's 3 semesters.
Yes, I have several questions. First, I'll stick with the administrators. Is she considered homeless? Is she still in that status? She is? Okay. And on her paper transcript when she graduates, what will the number be on her class rank?
8.
Out of how many?
530.
So 530, 800, 8 out of 530. Okay. And this number 10, the student that is currently number 10, what will his number be on the paper transcript when he graduates? He or she graduates? It will be number 11. Okay. And this question is for either side, but in one of the hearings, it was mentioned that you are going to be in the CTE advertisements. Can y'all give more details about that? So you're going to be the face of CTE, and I'm curious what that means. Okay, so you're going to be on the posters that go up every. Okay. So then that was another question, is what were the two pathways that you mentioned? Okay. And you're going to go on to Rice, 4-year full ride scholarship, which is amazing. Just being accepted to Rice is amazing, but then to get the full ride is absolutely amazing. So what's your plan at Rice when you go? Okay. Because I know you're on the robotics club, so when I was here listening about you and reading about you, is NASA in your future then? Because I know that they like to pick from Rice and being in Houston, so. Mm-hmm. Okay, all right, great. $5:30, okay. And so you were at Bell, and you were 5 of 824? Okay, which is amazing. That's obviously not just a higher class ranking, but also a higher percentage if you look at it that way. So, and Bell being an IB school, that's with HEB, that's even. Mm-hmm. Okay. And if it's okay, I'm going to get personal with you now. So this might get emotional for both of us. So when you lived with Uncle Michael, were you going to Eton at that time? Okay. And how long were you with him before he did what he did? And Uncle Chris, is he here? Okay. And do you have any other family members here? Is that who's behind you there too? Okay. And who's this lady that's sitting next to you that's obviously, or in the white right here, who's, okay. And are y'all really close, or are you here because of the hearing? Okay. Yeah, amazing story. So, one of my questions I was reading was you tell me your life story, because you alluded to it in the board meeting in the previous, and then you alluded to it in the recordings we listened to. But I'm glad you talked about it then, just because I wanted to know what got you here. And then you brought up something that I was going to ask these guys about military, because I'm retired Air Force, so one of the reasons we got out is I didn't want my kids to move around a lot. I wanted to have some control. So, yeah, when it comes, so you brought that up for us. So I really appreciate that because they really don't have. They do have some control over where they go, but not necessarily the timing. But your situation is at a different level than that. So, and I come from a broken family too, but not to your extent. So there's the obstacles you've overcome to get here are just amazing. And the perseverance that it requires, that's a key word in my life, is perseverance. Constantly getting hit with roadblocks, constantly having a wall set up in your path. And it's usually up to yourself to figure out how to navigate around it. Now, when you look back, you'll see that there's other people along the way that helped you, but they were on the sidelines helping guide you. So you've got an amazing future ahead of you, regardless of what happens today. So, and this is just a roadblock. No matter what happens, this is just a little bump in the road. I mean, you're going to go on to do great things that we can only imagine. I go back and think about having my infant kids in my arms, and you start dreaming, like wondering what they're going to be when they grow up. And you were what we dream about, So I'm very impressed with what you've done and and what you've overcome. So, all right, let me see if there's any more I got. Going back to a more serious note, Mr. Blankenship offered you the top 10 dinner. Dr. Warren offered you, what is it? Superintendent Scholar, and I'm assuming you turned those down so that you could get to this point. That was really because it was a great offer, and I assumed if she would have accepted those offers, it would have stopped at the level 2 and never got to us. So, okay, so it's a good tactic. I kind of appreciate that, and some of the what you said in your recording at level 2, I like the fight you have in you. So I'm glad you got to this point. I'm glad you're fighting. So if those offers are still on the table, would you accept them? Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't want to say accept those offers if it meant me being selfish. That's something not should be offers. If I didn't have that opportunity.
Because I'm just, obviously we got to go back and talk about it. But there's going to be some time constraints if we are going to change things. It's government. Things don't change quickly. Then attorneys got to get involved. So I don't know if it's going to change in time for you. I don't know. I'm just thinking of situations out there. Just if the offers are there, I hope you don't turn it down again. I hope you take advantage of what you've earned. So, and I'm proud of you.
Mr. Hastings?
Yes. First of all, you're fantastic. It's as a school person, a school teacher, a school administrator, we always wanted students like you, and we always wanted to have the whole school full of them, but it never worked out that way. But the parents always sent us their best. Sometimes their best just wasn't good enough. But I have a question. And the homeless person, the Vento is for either one of you, when you left HEB, did they offer you the opportunity to stay there and provide transportation? No, the school district provide you with transportation. So they didn't, when you left, they didn't say, you were identified as homeless when you left. Okay. Right. Well, as homeless, you have that opportunity. Okay. Yeah, because you're supposed to be identified and found to be homeless by every school district. I mean, it's part of the job of the school district. It's kind of like students with disabilities. We're supposed to seek out those kids that are homeless and then make sure that they have the opportunities to stay in the district that they're in, and provide them transportation. That's federal law, and state law too. So, but thank you. That's what I needed to know.
Again, I want to thank you for coming and persevering. I wanted to know if administration has a copy of what you're proposing as an amendment. Okay. And my second question to that is, was this given to administration before or after the April board meeting when we requested that we consider reviewing policy in the future? Right. Did the administration have this? Okay. Thank you. Okay.
And so I started it on Tuesday, and I had a copy of the policy.
Okay.
On Friday, she was taking since I did it yesterday. I was like, oh, yeah, I have 4 days, and that matter 4 days. I did it. And I probably would have tried to communicate it like last week, but I think I did last week. I was like 38.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you, and thank you for the information.
Okay, do we have any more questions, board members? Yes. Okay, if there are no more questions from the board members, that concludes this proceeding for this Level 3 appeal hearing. We will now adjourn into closed session to consult with our attorney under Section 551.071 of the Texas Government Code. The time is now 5:41. And after that closed session, it will be followed by our regular closed session, and then we will be back in open session at 6:30. Thank you. Okay, we are going to reconvene into our regular meeting, starting with the invocation and pledge. Dr. Warren?
Folks, it is great to see a room full today. Thanks for being here. If you feel comfortable doing so, please pray with me. Our dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity to come here together just to do your work, just to do the work for our children. We ask that you be with our board tonight as they make their decisions. We ask that you bless this meeting and just see us all safely home. And Lord, just above all things, just provide your love, your guidance, your wisdom, and your protection to our children. It's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, we have a very special, oh, look at that, Mallory's already up there. Good job, Mallory. We have a very special guest from Leo Adams Middle School. We have 7th grader Mallory Friday. You ready to be 8th grader, Mallory?
Yes.
That's what I thought. Yeah. And then her mom, Tamara's here. Tamara, thanks for coming. All right, let's see. Mallory, her favorite subject is science because she's good at it. Good job, Mallory. Nice.
She can do anything else.
What do you like to do? Athletic training and conditioning for volleyball, and participates in your church. Good job. Very good job. This is what Dr. Weber said about Mallory. I nominated Mallory because she exudes, good word, Cynthia, exudes joy, confidence, and kindness in all that she does. She enjoys being at school. She enjoys spending time with her friends. She is kind. She is very helpful to staff and students alike. I am very proud of Mallory because of her confidence in all that she does. She greets everyone with a big smile. She does her best at every endeavor she undertakes and is mindful of those around her. Mallory inspires me to be a better person. Great job. Mallory, thank you for being here. Let's do the American flag, and then we'll do the Texas flag. Please, ma'am.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, ma'am. Stay right there. We got a little gift for you. Mrs. Kopp will bring to you.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is to consider and possible action regarding the Level 3 appeal filed by an NISD student pursuant to Board Policy FNG Local. Board?
Mrs. Kopp,
Mr. Hastings?
I move that the board has voted to grant in part grant in part and deny in part the relief requested and modify the Level 2 decision as follows. The board directs the administration to review Board Policy EIC Local and bring proposals for amendments for the board's consideration before the beginning of the 2019-2020 school year, and that Victoria Gonzalez will be recognized at graduation as a superintendent scholar, giving her a gold card and a seat on the stage with the other top 10 students.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Hastings, a second by Dr. Roush. Any other discussion? All those in favor? 7-0.
Victoria, one more time, you did an excellent job, and we appreciate your passion for this. I will probably carve out a little bit of time this week, and we'll come talk about next steps, because, you still have a say in everything that's going to move forward. So we'll come have a chat, okay? Thank you very much. Now, you're more than invited to stay for the rest of the meeting, but if you want to excuse yourself, we understand that too.
Okay, our next item is recognitions. Dr. Warren?
Mrs. Conklin, it looks like we have a few.
We do.
Awesome.
If you and President Kopp can make your way down to the front, and as they're doing that, if you are a Leadership NISD graduate, if you could come to the very back. Anthony Tosi's waving his hand. If you did not get a card, he has cards with your name on it. So as they're making their way back tonight, we are recognizing emerging leaders in our school community. These parents and community leaders have participated and completed a 9-month Leadership NISD program that takes them behind the scenes for an in-depth look at NISD. The program was created 13 years ago, and monthly sessions focus on specific areas of district operations and departments to allow participants to engage in a year-long dialogue with the school district. It's our privilege this evening to present the class of 2019 with a lapel pin designed to signify excellence in leadership. So as I call your name, come on forward. Oh, sorry. There's pins right there. David Carruthers. Charity Tout. Jennifer Murphy.
And we're just going to slow down just a little bit.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
You better get an alphabetical one or two.
Joe Washam. Eric Fleischer. Sharon Boston.
Can't we just do it like the homeless? We just give them a blank one. Yeah. And then they pick up the real one.
Velvet Maloney. Ann Henshaw. Udine Otis. Edie Harigi. Melinda Webb, Melissa Griffiths, Christopher Simon, Teresa Williamson, and Lynn Evans. And we're going to get a class picture.
Alright, make sure you see me. On 3, 1, 2, 3.
Good. Okay, no, that's such a great job. Thank you all.
All right, next we'll be recognizing our LEAP and LEAD participants. So we have Dr. Michael Griffin and Dr. Rob Thornell, if you can come to the front, as well as Dr. Carrie Eddy, Dr. Stephanie Espinoza, and Dr. Logan Barrett.
We will do LEAD first.
Lead.
Good evening. Our district has a 2-year leadership development program that we are very proud of, and we're very proud of our participants that we're recognizing tonight. So our 2-year program starts with LEAP, which is Leadership Experiences for Aspiring Principals, and we always have more applicants than we have space for, so we have about 25 participants who started year 1 this year as members of LEAP, and they meet on a regular basis in the evenings about once a month with our executive leadership team to learn about what it takes and what the qualities of an aspiring principal for Northwest are, and they engage in lots of great conversations. And then year 2 is LEAD, and that stands for Leadership Experiences for Advanced Development. And this year we had 12 members who were in LEAP last year and chose to continue into LEAD this year. They too meet on a regular basis with us in the evenings. And an added piece to our LEAD program is throughout the year, they are charged with developing and working with their principal to lead a project on their campus to embark change in whatever the need of the campus is. So this evening, all of our LEAD participants shared a presentation with highlighting their action learning project that they engaged in throughout the year, and there were some amazing things. I learned great things and took some great notes of things that I want to follow up with and share with all of our principals. So we're going to start tonight by recognizing our LEAD members. So these are the ones that have finished year 2, and they are Catherine Baker, Elizabeth Bingham, Trixie Brownlee, Ethan D., Kenny Dwyer, Nancy Kruger, Jeremy Martin, Lindsay McGowan, Megan Nash, Kirby Riedel, Robbie Terrell, and Nicole Young. So that's our lead, so we'll take a group picture of this group.
1, 2, 3.
Great job, Chris.
On 20.
You just need to add sound effects to your camera, like Anthony sounds, and then it's really official. Okay, and now we will recognize our LEAP participants who are finishing year 1. Allison Adcock, Amanda Batson, Troy Burnett, Carla Dalton, Amanda Dunaway, Lucas Edenfield, Dan Flank, Carrie Hargis, Molly Hornsby, Jillian Phillips, Danae Ramundo, Sarah Turner, and Alexis Welburn.
Rotate.
Make sure you see me. And on 3, 1, 2, 3.
Ready.
Press hold.
Great job.
All right. For our next recognition and our last recognition, I'd like to invite Tricia Atzker-John, our Health Services Coordinator, to the front to help us present this next group. This evening, we're recognizing campuses who are designated as heart-safe schools through Project Adam. This designation is attained by schools after successful implementation of quality sudden cardiac arrest program of awareness, training, and effective emergency response to promote an environment that is heart-safe for students, visitors, and staff and meets the Heart-Safe Schools checklist. So as we call your name, please come up to the front and we will take a picture. So from Pike Middle School, Lisa Black, Morgan Ashcraft, and Chris Jones. If y'all are all here, come to the front. Anyone from Pike? All right. Sorry. Wilson Middle School, Christy Edney, Tammy Brooks, and Natalie Arnold. From Northwest High School, Julie Brown, Summer Booth, and Carrie Jackson. From Eaton High School, Sherilyn Mitchell, Samantha Stringer, and Mike Blankenship. From Byron Nelson High School, Amy DeHaven, Rose Garcia, and Ron Myers. From Lakeview Elementary School, Laura Weaver and Mary Seltzer. From Justin Elementary School, Cindy Gage and Lisa Ronslaven. From Cox Elementary School, Lori Walsh and Kim Beacon. From Beck Elementary School, Shelley Davis and Amanda Bunch. And from Thompson Elementary School, Haley Crawford and Leanne Romer.
Okay, everybody shoot in.
Could you take 2 classes? I can't go. So can you take my classes for me, Park?
No.
3, 1, 2. 2, 3.
Hey, men in the military know when to duck.
And that's all for our recognition.
Hey, Madam President, I'd like to do one more recognition if we could. We have an NISD All-Star in the house, and Mr. Kingsley, could you come up? If y'all don't know, he won the Texas PTA Reflections Contest for the state. So,
Maybe we should go down there. We're coming.
Because you love your lady? Yes. Come on.
And so, can you help me with that?
Oh, it's Mom, baby?
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Joe?
Stay right here for us. And so, thank you for honoring me.
Congratulations.
This award embodies the spirit of the hero.
Okay. Right, everyone with me. We're on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Awesome. That was fun. Officer Conklin, would you push up the thermostat just a little bit? Dr. Simpson says she's got icicles hanging. Thank you, sir.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is public participation, and we do have someone here tonight. Before I ask you to go to the podium, I have a statement to read. Public participation is an opportunity for the public to address the board on any matter, whether or not it is on the agenda. The board may place reasonable restraints on the number, length, and frequency of presentations so long as it does not unfairly discriminate among speakers based on a viewpoint. Each participant is limited to 3 minutes. Groups of more than 5 people shall appoint one person to speak for the group. Speakers should refrain from mentioning by name an employee or student about whom they are complaining. The board may not deliberate or take action on a presentation about an item not on the agenda. Mr. John Lowe, please step to the podium and state your name and address.
Lillian, you want me to? Okay.
Hi, I'm John Lowe. I live at 14037 Wrangler Way, and my son goes to Sendero Ranch Elementary. And I apologize tonight. I'm not dressed very professionally. I almost forgot the meeting. I was mowing and fixing dinner, so I'm sorry. But just like all of us, I love my family and I love my children. And I want them to have the best possible public education there is out here. And unfortunately, our schools do not protect our children's data. And this will be the last time I bring this up this year. I brought it up 2 times already, and the school has failed me 3 times by providing no protection to my child's data as I requested. Schools release children's information to third parties and deem it necessary for an education and deem them officials of the school officials. Now, I wanted to let you guys know that if you are a parent, of a third grader or above, I think it is, they are going to take what's called, they're going to have their biometrics kept by the state of Texas and the school. Now, that concerns me as a parent because that means if my child is underweight or overweight or has a condition like a heart condition or something, $1 billion insurance company can come get that data from the state or steal it if they want or buy it. And they can go later on and they can charge my child more for insurance, health insurance and stuff like that. They started a program this year in my child's class called Seesaw. The school failed on that, protecting students' data, because when I click on the Seesaw link that was given to us as a parent, it listed everybody's name in his class. Now, if I wanted to do harm to those kids, I would know the student's name, that it's in my son's class, who the teacher was, and which school he went to. That's concerning to me. So I just want parents to understand that schools give out your child's information with and without your knowledge. Enrollment time is now. You can select, they have hidden it in the documentation, you can select not to give it out to third parties, but understand that if it is a school official, they will give it out, no matter what you want. And also understand that technology from somebody in the board said that technology is the way of the world. It's funny that technology is the way of the world, but graduating kids today, 1% of those can't even count back change to me at a grocery store. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is Canvas May 4th, 2019 Board of Trustees returns. The presiding officer shall note the completion of the canvas in the minutes or in the recorded required by the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551.021, Policy BE. Dr. Warren?
All right, Board, and I believe Mr. Schluter, is that correct, is going to lead this because we have a couple board members who are on the ballot, and he's done it before.
That's correct.
So on your place, you should have the results. And Angela and Kim are here to answer any of your questions, so we need to go over these, and then Mr. Schluter will take it from there. Angela, do you want to just tell them, I know they can figure this out, but tell them what the tabs are?
The tabs indicate the Denton County, Tarrant County, and Wise County, just so you can flip back and forth easily. We've included those the precinct reports and the cumulative reports are what's tabbed. So you can compare numbers to make sure that accuracy of those numbers you're seeing is correct. Just so you're aware, we had a few come in, because the results we got on election night are preliminary. So we've adjusted a few of those based on what the county did for overseas ballots and provisional ballots. So the numbers you see are a little different than what you saw on election night.
So Angela, typically we make a motion accepting the results as been presented. Is that correct?
If you just want to state it, we've had that discussion. It's not a bond election, so we're not required to, but the affidavit you've got is what we need to sign off on. So if y'all want to.
Okay, so we'll need concurrence from the additional board members. You're good? Dr. Roush is good. Dr. Simpson, Mr. Sproles, Mr. Hastings, and of course, Dr. Warren.
Oh, did you ask me? I'm sorry.
No, I did not ask you, but that's fine. So as presiding officer, I will note that the completion of the canvas returns are valid.
All right, thank you.
Okay, our next item is to administer the oath of office to those candidates.
Okay. I would like to call Deanne Hatfield forward.
Yay!
And Deanne, if you would raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Deanne Hatfield. I, Deanne Hatfield. Do solemnly affirm. That I will faithfully. Execute the duties. Of the office of. Northwest ISD Board of Trustees. Of the state of Texas. And will to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect. And defend the Constitution. And laws of the United States. And of this state. So help me God.
Hey.
Okay. Judy, you want to be next? All right. Would you raise your right hand? I, Judy Cox. Do solemnly affirm. That I will faithfully. Execute the duties of. The office of. The Northwest ISD Board of Trustees. Of the state of Texas. And will to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect. And defend the Constitution. And laws of the United States. And of this state. So help me God. And Dr. Simpson. Would you raise your hand? I, Ann Davis Simpson. Do solemnly affirm. That I will faithfully. Execute the duties of. The office of. Northwest ISD Board of Trustees. Of the state of Texas. And will to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect. And defend the Constitution. And laws of the United States. And of this state. So help me God.
Yeah. Oh, so she gotta get her stuff. Brenda, do you need the affidavit? Oh, okay. Those are.
Okay, our next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Dr. Warren, are we?
Does anyone have any questions?
Madam President,
Mr. Sluter?
I move we approve the consent agenda as submitted.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Sluter and a second by Dr. Simpson. All those in favor? And we are now 7.
Oh, that sounds good again, isn't it?
Yeah,
7-0.
we're now 7. Okay, and the next item is our one and only discussion action item on the replacement of Haslett Elementary School. Dr. Warren?
Board, the information on our new Haslett Elementary School begins on page 113 in your packet. It is that time, as Mrs. Kopp just said. Mr. McClure, comments and recommendation.
Comments are we had a great pool of contractors submit. We had 8 submissions. The range was really tight, so we felt really good with the bids. We took 5 of those forward for pricing. Ultimately took 4 of those forward for interviews, and we are asking for the approval of Dawson Peterson tonight as the highest qualified selection in the process.
Board, we recommend approval.
Hey, Madam President.
Mr. Sproles?
I move to award CSP number B019-020-04-021 to Adolphson and Peterson Construction, AP Gulf States Incorporated, for the Haslett Replacement Elementary School, and authorizing the superintendent or his designee to enter into contracts as recommended by the administration.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Sproles and a second by Mr. Hastings. Any discussion needed? Questions? Okay. All those in favor? Okay, carries 7-0.
Thank you, Board.
Good job, Tim.
Okay, now we're moving to reports. The first one is Student Service District Effectiveness Report. Dr. Warren?
Board, Dr. Eddy's report begins on page 115 in your packet. Carrie, please.
Good evening, Board. It's my pleasure to talk to you about what's been going on in our Student Services Department this year. And I'm going to talk about different areas of our department. Student Services is made up of special ed, guidance and counseling, and then student services. We have Marta Smith, that is our federal program specialist. She is one who ensures that we are getting our refunding of SHARS money for different services we provide as well as our MAC money. Cynthia Elliott, who is our family parenting and pregnancy outreach facilitator. Jennifer Bailey, who is our district RTI coordinator. Victoria Cole, that we brought on this year as our 504 at-risk coordinator. And then Tricia Axer-John, who is our district health coordinator. So I'll talk about student services and then the other departments. Our federal programs, as you know, serves to bring in additional money to our district so that we can meet the needs of our students. We have Perkins Grant that is operated by Mrs. Braswell in our CTE department. And then Title I, II, 3, and 4 is operated under student services, and that allows us to level the playing field for our Title I schools. This year we do have 6 Title I schools: Seven Hills, Prairie View, Clara Love, Hatfield, Gene Pike, and Chisholm Trail Middle School. Then we also have Title I Part D, which is our Denton Creek campus, which is a campus that serves students that are currently in detention, and we still provide for their academic needs as well as a transition back to their home campuses, which are generally an hour or 2 hours away from our district. Title II allows us, under the direction of Dr. Espinoza, to provide for different professional development needs in our district, where we are growing our teachers as well as our leaders. Title III, also under the direction of Dr. Espinoza and Veronica Law, are serving our bilingual and ESL students, giving us additional dollars. This year we were able to support some additional staff members that work with our bilingual students, as well as our Parents as Teachers program. And then Title IV is a unique federal grant that allows us, again, to level that playing field, gives us a little more freedom as a district to determine how we're going to use that money. This year we were able to support our AP students that are on free or reduced lunch to allow them to take those tests at a reduced rate, as well as some of our Duke scholars that are 7th graders to be able to participate in some summer training programs, as well as some other safety and security SEL concerns in our district. Then we have IDEA-B, which is operated through our special ed department, which funds many of our different diagnosticians in our speech and other positions, and then IDEA-B preschool, which also supports our students before they start kindergarten. If you will notice at the bottom right-hand portion of the screen is our SHARS money that we get from services that we provide to our students, and brings in, this year is about 3 times the amount of money for additional funding that goes into our general bucket of money that we can spend, and we really don't have a lot of restrictions on how we can use that money. Also in our department, we operate the compensatory education dollars that allow us to serve our at-risk students. Some of the ways that we did that this year is we have an at-risk counselor at DAP. We added 3 at-risk academic support teachers at Byron, Eaton, and Northwest High School. We also added intervention counselors at Byron, Eaton, and Northwest. We fund our reading recovery teachers through compensatory education funds. Some of our intervention specialists' salary, the part of the time that they spend with our at-risk students. Our campus tutors this spring, as we're getting ready for STAR testing and EOC, their funding comes from our compensatory funds, as well as the classes we offer at our secondary level for our students that are at risk of not passing. We also provide our pregnancy resource center money for our kids that do become pregnant while they're in high school or they are teens. We use those funds to help support them, as well as credit recovery, our truancy intervention counselor that works with all of our campuses in Northwest, our summer school credit recovery, and our intervention support, as well as our students that get to spend some time over at JJAEP. Our department also oversees the after-school enrichment program. This year that continues to grow with 11 different outside groups that come in and use our facilities, and then they also pay the district money to be able to use those facilities throughout the year, and the different opportunities are listed there, as well as the campuses that participate. Our Parents as Teachers program that we refer to as PAT serves our families before their students start kindergarten. This year we were able to serve 93 families in which we went into their homes and worked with the parents to help them learn how to teach and work with their kids, whether it's reading with them or just asking them higher level questions as they are growing up. We served 149 students this year. 76 of those families came and attended one or more of our group learning events that we hold on Fridays, where they come up and they interact with other families and other students, and again, teaching those parents how to become the first teacher in the home. We also added free developmental screenings for our students to help them with kindergarten readiness skills, and so we identify for the parents things that they can do with their students. We may not continue to serve them through PAT, but we have several families that took advantage of this so they could just know what to work on with their children at home. So this year, or this spring, we served 24 students, and 46 of those were referred to Child Find, ECI, or PAT services. So these were students that we identified some learning deficiencies and needed to encourage them to be able to get some of those services before they start at school. So with increasing our PAT program, this year we had 41% of the PAT families had at least one stress factor. We want to make sure that our PAT families are those high-risk families, because we know that pre-K and beyond is what helps our students to eliminate some of those gaps. And then 26 of those PAT families had 2 or more stress factors, which is a 2% increase over last year's, it was an increase over last year in which we only had 2% of our students. In our department, we also provide for pregnancy-related services. This year, we did have 21 students that were served, 12 students that were our pregnant students in the district, 4 that were teen moms, 5 that are teen dads. An exciting part of those teen moms and dads is they also participate in our Parents as Teachers program. So even after our kids are graduating, we are continuing to work with them to become the #1 teacher in their children's lives. We will have 12 of those students that graduate this year. We did have 5 that transferred to different districts, 2 that dropped out or went to homeschool, and then 2 that will return next year to one of our high school campuses. Our department also has health services. Tonight you saw us recognize our Project Adam campuses, in which currently we have 11 campuses with cardiac emergency response teams, and then we have 5 more that should be adding to that list before the end of the year. A celebration which Dr. Warren shared at a previous board meeting where 2 lives were saved through the efforts of these teams. So it's very important for our campuses to be prepared and that they are spending time working together to know what to do in the event of an emergency. We also have Asthma 411, which is where we do stock albuterol for our students, or it could be adults in the building experiencing respiratory distress. This has been used 40 times this year, with 20 of them able to return to the classroom during the school year because we had this on stock. We also have stock epinephrine that we have rolled out as a required awareness program on all of our campuses, and this was utilized twice this school year with positive outcomes. Immunizations, we did start a campaign for our 7th graders back in November, because if you have a 7th grader in your house, that's the year we got to get shots again. And so currently we have almost 53% of our immunizations taken care of our future 7th graders, so that does not delay enrollment in the fall, and we're continuing to push that with our campuses. We have added staff diabetes training. We have 208 staff members trained in diabetic awareness, and then 105 trained in unlicensed diabetics care assistant training to be able to step in when needed. As of today, students with documented health alerts, over 10,000 students have been served through our health services department. We give about 383 daily medications. Number of students with type 1 diabetes is 69. Students with severe life-threatening allergies, which is pretty amazing, 557 of our students. And then students with seizure disorder, 115. And total number of students with asthma, 2,300. Our department also operates the Response to Intervention program that the state has now put into law. So we are working with organizing systems for all of our campuses K through 12. And this year we established a secondary RTI steering committee to work on what that was going to look like at the secondary level. We have provided professional development, increased parent awareness and support, and then this year supporting our elementary campuses on year 2. Our RTI enrollment for the district is 3,400 students, with a little over 1,500 in Tier 2 and then 1,800 in Tier 3. In Tier 3 indicating that they need the highest level of support. We have exited 493 of those students, and then we have now moved 171 of those students over to special ed that needed additional supports that we would not be able to provide through RTI services. We also have Section 504 in our department. We have close to 2,500 students that are currently served through 504. And so we have increased our systems of uploading this information so that our teachers on day 1 of the school year are able to access the students' accommodations and be able to implement those in the classroom. We also serve our homeless students through McKinney-Vento in our department. This school year, we have served over 125 students that were coded as homeless. We supply transportation for them, free lunch, school supplies, and then just try to identify any other needs that they might have and provide those as a district.
Carrie?
Yes, sir.
I don't want to put you on the spot, but can you tell the board just kind of give examples of what qualifies students to be deemed homeless?
You can have a student that currently is living in our district with someone that is not their parents. You can have students that are 18 years old that have, because of whatever reason, they have left their homes. We occasionally have full families that no longer have homes to live in that may move in with someone else, or you can even have, and whether that's in a home or in an apartment.
Thank you.
And occasionally, you have kids that are living in their cars.
Yeah. Thank you.
Most heart-wrenching ones. Let's see. At-risk students, currently serving 6,800 students in our district that are identified as at-risk. And as I mentioned earlier, our compensation dollars allow us to serve those students with even more resources. Many times that comes through tutoring. foster care. This number seems to be on the rise. We are currently tracking approximately 40 students that are in foster care, and also encouraging our campuses to keep looking at the data from these students to make sure that we're meeting their needs. As we know, our foster kids sometimes move from foster home to foster home during their time in K through 12. We also have special education department that is under the leadership of Micah Gerke, our director. We have Stacy Parker and Chris Kelly, who are special ed supervisors. Stacy White, which works with our Child Find, trying to identify those students that we have not identified yet. Lynn Austin, that works with our transition program. Elizabeth Elliott Norman and Michelle Hancock, that are both our special ed coordinators that help support our campuses. Currently, we have 2,738 students that are identified as special ed. We have done 582 initial evaluations, and that's through the end of April, with 380 still pending that we have been working on, and we will finish through the summer. We have 50 students who participated in Special Olympics. We have one student who attends our Fort Worth Regional Day School for the Deaf, 3 that attend our Denton Regional School for the Deaf, and then 1 student who is attending Texas School for the Deaf. We have conducted over 2,600 staff development sessions for teachers, paraprofessionals, administrators, evaluators, and related service personnel. 12 of our campuses have implemented PBIS with support of behavior interventionists, and we will finish off with the other campuses, elementary campuses, this next school year. We have 150 RTI behavior plans that have been implemented, as we're not only working on their academic but also their behavioral needs. We have seen an increase in our RTI progress monitoring, and then our SHARS billing, which again gives the district additional funding. We are on track to be 100% complete at the end of the school year. Some of the academic successes that we are experiencing in our special ed department, some of this data will be limited because STAR data has not come in yet, but for our 5th graders, 30% of our 5th graders passed both reading and math STAR on the first administration. 40% of those 5th graders passed reading on the first administration, 57 passed math on the first administration. We had 32% of our 8th grade SPED students that passed both reading and math. 2 middle school campuses had more than 25% growth in passing special ed STAR math scores. This is one of our PBMS areas that we are really concentrating on the growth of our special ed students. Year to date, our iReady reading student growth has been an increase of 57%, and our iReady math student growth has been at an increase of 67%. We've also increased our student progress monitoring in our special ed department, and that's where our coordinators and our supervisors with special ed work closely with our campuses to help support them and give them the special training they need or any other services to help provide those needs on the campus. As in the bottom right corner, it talks about the face-to-face meetings on those campuses where those coordinators and supervisors go out to work with our campuses. We also have the Guidance and Counseling Department under the direction of Jamie Farber. And we have some district personnel, Rachel Walker, that helps us with our truancy on all of our campuses, Irene Myers, that is working with our students at DAP, and then our 3 new intervention counselors, Ryan Laney, Noel Wilson, and Danielle Barima, that have allowed us to expand what we can do in our counseling office at the secondary level. Our counselors have continued to work on strengthening their social emotional learning as a team, as they are continuously working to support our teachers and other staff and our students on our campuses. A third of our counselors served on the district SEL committee and subcommittees. They have already created drafts of benchmarks for our SEL competencies that we will be introducing over the next few years, and then also focusing on that adult SEL in preparation for improving the student SEL. As you recognize, our flower that will be introduced at the campus level next year, but lots of work going on with our counselors in that area. Some exciting announcements. Byron, Eaton, and Northwest were all recognized this spring as CREST recipients. This is a recognition for counselors across the state of Texas. It requires lots of documentation, and they have to be able to show those that are looking at their applications that there is growth in school climate and safety, student results, major achievements on the campuses, community partnerships and resources, and parent collaboration. And then we're excited about the 3 intervention counselors and the work that they have done this year that has allowed us to increase the individual and group counseling. As you know, our counselors have large workloads, and with House Bill 5, many times at the high school, they spend a lot of time working just on schedules and making sure that the students are in the right class and looking at their grades and helping support them there. But there's lots of social emotional needs. So this has been an addition that has helped our campuses out tremendously at the high school. And then they're also working to continue further the parent programs and networking outside with service providers as we continue to look at the resources that we can provide our students and families. And that is student services in a nutshell. Any questions?
I do have a few, and thank you so much for all of this information. I know this is an area that we've been attempting to target through the superintendent's goals to be sure that we are having effective programs and equity. So I'm just curious, as you've looked at these, how are we working, what are our goals, and how are we working to meet those goals? I know we have data, but I didn't see them in comparison to what have been our established goals.
In which particular area?
Well, I would think special ed was one in performance, and then I'm looking at the at-risk, RTI, and 504 and wondering how these delineations is there overlap in these groups, or are they all separate? And then I know we added an RTI coordinator. How has that improved? I think this is the second year for that, or maybe the third.
Yes,
I'm not sure. So I appreciate the data, but I don't know how we're working to meet whatever the goals are that have been set. And as a part of the curriculum audit, that was one of the things that we were apprised of, that we needed to really set clear evaluation criteria and processes. And so I'm just curious to know where we are, because will be time to budget, and we don't know what we need.
So for special ed, we are continuing to monitor grades as well as STAR data. So we won't get all of our data until June, but we are already seeing growth by the 5th and the 8th grade scores compared to where we were last year on our PBMAS data, as well as where we were in some of those areas with kids now passing both reading and math. And then we will get science and social studies data in June. With RTI, the RTI process, we now are able to go into our eStar system, and we are working constantly looking at what students have, where their target areas are to look for that growth. And again, as we have 5th and 8th grade data that we just work to report on to be able to show the effectiveness of is RTI identifying all the students who needed that additional help. Are there students that did not have additional help that were needed? Some of the students in 5th and 8th grade that are retesting in a couple of weeks, we have been able to look at how many of those kids already had supports, and then what additional supports did they need to continue to make sure that we're meeting their needs. As far as kids in multiple programs, interestingly enough, you have kids that are in special ed and RTI. That is a double coding. Currently, there are students that are 504 in RTI, and then there are students that are just in RTI. So depending on who the student is and what their needs are, they could be served through multiple programs.
Because it did look like we had almost half of the student body in one of these support services, so there is overlap.
Yes. And we'll see if the state continues to do that. Special ed and RTI, we know for sure will continue. There's talk at the state level that we will no longer overlap 504 and RTI. But as of last week, we are continuing to identify both.
And then I have a question, because I know RTI is to be preventative, but it looks like our prevention is underperforming. With 500 students, roughly 500 students being successful, is there a way that we might work to increase the number of students who exit RTI?
Yes, and that's because it's a new program as far as a few different rules that have come in play once House Bill 5 was put into action, is working with our campuses and supporting what RTI is, how we can progress monitor and document that, and continuing to make sure are we providing the right intervention and being able to identify one area that the student is working on and seeing growth in that area, and then introducing another area that they need to work on. So it is a continuous process. If you were to talk to our elementary principals, this year too has been amazing on being more comfortable with the system and the program of keeping up with a lot of kids, because it doesn't take a lot to qualify for RTI and need support.
That's what I was wondering, because really the goal is for RTI to be able to keep these kids from needing a 504 or special education services. That was the intent.
Yes. And so we are seeing gains in that. I think it will take a couple of years at the secondary level. You know, it is getting high schools and middle schools used to RTI, which sometimes was seen as an elementary program versus a secondary program. And we do have large numbers at our high schools and middle schools, and continuing to work and support the staff. Our RTI coordinator works very closely with the administrators in helping them support their teachers and equipping them along with our coordinators, our C&I coordinators in different subject areas on good intervention methods.
I just think it would be really helpful to have a little bit more evaluative data where we could compare and look forward, because these are populations that really do need our support, and both financially as well as in general. Just we want all of these children to be successful, so it would be helpful.
Yep.
And just reading back over the curriculum audit, it seemed like we needed to do
Sure. Well, when we do get, we talked about this morning, Dr. Simpson, in our cabinet meeting. When we get all the data in, I think it's very important for us to be able to take you through that.
Yes, we'll do a summary once we have all of the data to be able to show the growth and gains that we have seen.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next report is the March Financial and Investment Report. Dr. Warren?
Mr. Carter. Good evening. You have in front of you are the numbers for the investment report as the end of March 31st, 2019. Obviously, all investments do fall and comply with the Public Funds Investment Act. We did have two securities mature in. We had $7.5 million that matured into our construction account to pay for Tim's contractors and buildings and such. And then we had $5 million that matured in to pay for our payroll in the month of March. We do have the total amount invested as of March 31st was a little over $264 million. We will have another $100 million that come in with the bond sale that John will talk about. Those funds will come in on May 23rd. The portfolio is diversified between Tex Pool, our investment pool, our local depository bank, and we have a small amount in U.S. Treasuries. And then the total amount of interest earned in the month was right at $600,000 and a total of about $4.1 million for the year. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next report is Post-Pricing Information Unlimited Tax School Building Bond Series 2019. Dr. Warren?
Mr. Gressman. Howdy. On April the 8th, the Board of Trustees approved a parameter order authorizing essentially the issuance of the unlimited tax school building bonds and establishing the sales parameters and the execution of the purchase contract, official statement, and other documents. At that point, essentially, we pulled the trigger on April the 29th. We got 3.44%, which is an excellent interest rate. The district's actual interest rate was about a little over 0.5% lower than what was projected, which was just slightly under 4% at 3.99. As a result, we were able to save the district about $12.7 million over what was projected, so we came in substantially under the projections that were originally prepared by Jeff Robert, our financial advisor with Hilltop. This was a $100 million sale for 25 years. We do prepay 15% in the first 5 years. That's important because we use a lot of these funds for technology, and technology tends to have a life not to exceed 5 years, and so that's why we try to get that loaded a little bit to the front. This was a $100 million sale. It sold for a premium, so the principal amount's $92 million, and the premium is a little over $8 million working out. We have a list here of the various bond elections we've had, and you can see we have one about every 3 or 4 years, 2001, 5, 8, 12, and 17. There was a bit of a gap between that one. At this point, this is the second issuance of $100 million on that $399 million bond issue. We still have 2 more issuances, one of probably another $100 million about the same time next year, and then $99 million after that. That tends to be about the rate we spend at. We got, as you can see on the curve, an excellent interest rate. The bond buyers 20-year bond index had fallen down to 3.79, which is pretty much a low for the year. So we're very happy with that. We didn't have the benefit of all the wonderful things that are now going on in the news, but we did the best we could do with the good news that we had. The municipal market interest rates, you can see on this graph as well, it had dropped down about 50 basis points. And so we just had a good timing. And that's why we do a parameter order. By parameter order, what it means is essentially you give us the opportunity to sell the bonds when we think the time is right. And we'd initially talked to y'all, we were thinking about April the 22nd, and we decided not to go on April the 22nd because essentially 7 Texas school districts, Capel, Frisco, HEB, we're going to sell about $600 million of bonds in that week, and we didn't want to compete with them because, our basic economics is supply and demand, and so there was more supply that week, so we backed off, let them go, and then slid in the next week. And it worked out really well for us. We had a diversified sale. We also, we have a very good team. We've had them now for quite some time, and we priced aggressively in the market. So we went out to try to deliberately get the lowest interest rates possible. And as a result, we actually, we had about $67 million in bonds that remained unsold. We priced them so aggressively. And this is where the team came in that the team pulled the orders down themselves, took them into inventory, and then resold them later to their clients. So whereas we didn't get 100% market sale, we got 100% market sale plus what was bought by the underwriting team. And so we got full coverage, and we got a great price, and that's where the teamwork comes in and having people who are in there for the long haul to work with your district. And what you can see in the yellow column, that's called your order subscription. And if you don't have one, that means you didn't get enough orders. And that's where the team stepped up. If you have 2 or 3 times, that's great. That means people oversubscribed and you're getting better pricing. But because we had priced so aggressively, we skated pretty close to the order limit. And that's why we had some taken into stock. And that's why, but it all came together just beautifully. And you see that on the yellow lines that cut across when you look at how we compared to other people. For example, on the 2027s, we had a yield of 1.9%. Capel was 1.96. Frisco was 1.93. HEB was 1.96. So you see that we were about 3 to 6 basis points got a lower rate. And that's, of course, what you want when you're doing $100 million. A little bit goes a long way. I mean, just going from $399 down to $344 saved the district taxpayers $12.7 million in interest. So, you go, oh, what's 0.5%? Well, about $12 million. So, yeah, that's some serious money. Essentially, what we have here is a list of the refinancing we've done in the district. We have refunded since 2015. We had multiple refundings, and we actually just went ahead and prepaid a $4.1 million bond. And that's where having some fund balance in your debt service fund as opposed to your general operating fund comes in handy. At that point, rather than refinance those $4.1 million, we just paid them off and took the entire interest savings on those. We have saved the district as a result a little over $83 million in interest costs through those refinancing since 2015 alone. So that's practically a whole bond issue right there. And we have always beaten the market. They show that, for example, on some of these various sales, we had come in 6.8, 11.5, 8.4, $12.7 million under what was projected. So we try to project conservatively and then price aggressively to maximize the savings. Well, I'll actually do it for two reasons. One is to maximize the savings to the district's taxpayers. But the reality is there's this continuing, never-ending pressure from Tim because he's always wanting to spend more money and build more buildings. It has something to do with this massive wave of children that keep showing up on our doorstep, so it's not really his fault. He's just trying to do the best he can. But in all seriousness, trying to do everything you can to manage your tax rate on the INS side. Of course, we're very focused on the general operating side and the maintenance and operations tax rate and all the pressures of the state legislature. But as a fast growth district, we have to be very aggressive and very careful in managing that side of the tax rate because there are a lot of districts out there that are still growing just like us, sitting at 50 cents going, oh boy, what do we do now? We are at the cap. And so anything we can do to give us room to not have to go up to 50 cents for as long as we possibly can, because we're in this game for probably at least another 20 years. And so we got a nickel to spread over 20 years. Fortunately, we're having very aggressive growth in the district in terms of property value, both in terms of existing and new, and that helps make it easier to be able to slide in new bonds. The other thing that's really helping is I think the federal government is so deeply in debt at the rate of $1 trillion a year that they can't afford to have what would have been considered traditional interest rates anymore. As a result, there's tremendous downward pressure on interest rates, and that's really good for people like us who are borrowing $100 million a year. So we see the Federal Reserve, which would probably like to raise the interest rates up quite a bit more, backing off because they just are afraid they'll kill the economy. And so as a result, that's helped us get a lot more bang for our buck on trying to borrow money to be able to build the buildings to accommodate these children coming in. So it's worked out very well for us over the years. This is our team. Of course, Hilltop Securities, Jeff Robert is our financial advisor. McCall Parkhurst with Jeff Golbus and is our attorney. We use BOK as our senior manager, Piper Jaffray, Raymond James, and RBC Capital Markets as our co-managers. Good team. Been doing it for a long time. Be happy to answer any questions.
Hey, John, I know you got retirement fast approaching, and I think I'm going to miss the next couple meetings, so thank you for all you've done. With all those savings I've seen over the years, that's from the taxpayers. Thank you. That's good to hear. So
thank you.
So good luck. Have fun in retirement.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you, John. All right, next item, consider any item removed from the consent agenda. There were none. President's report. Information is available at your seat for TASB Summer Leadership Institute, June 20th through 22nd in Fort Worth. Please complete your registration selections on the forms at your place and return them to Jennifer so she can register you before May 24th. And also at your seat you have a sheet of dates for the 2019-20 board meetings and also delegates that will be needed to be discussed and approved at our next meeting. So if you want to continue to serve on the one you're serving on now, let me know. If there's one you're interested in, let me know. We'll switch around. We need to add D in here somewhere. So y'all think about what you want to do on those different ones and let me know before the next meeting and then we'll vote on it. Okay. Also, the Board of Trustees Awards are May 16th at Eaton High School at 7, May 21st at Byron Nelson High School at 7 p.m., and May 23rd at Northwest High School at 7 p.m. And we also need to vote on board officers next meeting, so Mark has something he would like to talk to you about.
Yes, board officers' times are often confusing, and so I've decided to make it more of a democratic process. So,
Oh, Lord.
I know, right? So what I'm going to do is to pass these cards around. So if you're interested in a position, possibly the position that you're in, please put your name on the card. Don't nominate someone else. Put your name on there. Give those back to Jennifer. And if it's unanimous, we'll just put that slate on next board meeting. If not, we will let you vote. Yes. So I'll pass these cards down.
Judy, have you been 2 years? One. Does it seem like 2?
Is it to you?
Okay, and we'll also draw for seats after the different board officers are chosen. So if you don't like where you're sitting, maybe you'll get to sit somewhere else. Okay, I'm going to move it on to superintendent's report.
All right, board, just a couple of things. Graduation information is available at your seats for graduation. Please let us know if you prefer to ride together or drive yourself, because we will have a carpool like we always do. It helps for parking. If you're going to drive yourself, you need to get Jennifer. We need to get Jennifer involved in this, because she will get you a parking pass if you have to drive yourself, if you can't carpool. So let us know that pretty quickly. Remember, we gave you at the April 8th meeting a district events calendar. Jennifer's continuing to update that. If you need another copy, just let us know. If you need a copy of any of the retirement parties, let us know, and we can get those to you. And because we got plenty coming up, and those are really good times. Board, final thing in your packet. I'm going to be in Austin I'm going to be in Austin on Wednesday, day after tomorrow, to talk to our leadership about budgetary issues and school finance. In your packet is some information, just some key points of what we're tracking. Of course, page 185, House Bill 3 has both chambers. If you are communicating with our legislators, there are the names of the conference committee members. Our Jane Nelson is one of those members of the Senate side. So it would really behoove you if you are doing that. And then starting next board meeting, and remember, we're going to meet on Tuesday, the 28th, because of Memorial Day. Okay, the last May meeting is on Tuesday. The next 3 board meetings, we will hold budget workshops, full-fledged budget workshops. Now, we talked about a 5 o'clock start. I would recommend, if our schedules can handle it, maybe even a 4:30 start, because this will be the first big budget workshop. The next 2 weeks are going to be critical for the legislature. We should have a lot of answers over the next 2 weeks, with this conference committee now going to meet and hash out both sides. So I would recommend, if we can, and just let me know if we can meet at 4:30. That would be great. That would give us a full hour to truly go over the preliminaries. And what I gave you in your budget in your packet is just some preliminary things that we've been looking at. We've given you this before, but from the staffing budgets to the things that our HR pays attention to, teacher salaries, things that are really important. It gives you the 2% the midpoint history. Gives you the salary increases every 0.5%, what it costs us as a district, so that you'll just know. We just talked about the benefit plan. You just approved the insurance plan. We need to look at a way to make sure that if we can afford it, to make it have a less impact on our staff, do that. So I just wanted to give you all that just as a reminder, and then get back to me if we can do a 4:30 start on the 28th. And I think, Steve, you and I may have to do it one-on-one. Is that correct? Because of your flight schedule, and so we'll do that, and then we'll roll with it. Again, I can't say enough. If you are contacting legislators, this is a great time to do it, because they need to hear from us, especially Jane Nelson's office, because she's going to be right in the middle of the back and forth between the House version and the Senate version, and the House version still outshines the Senate version. They are not perfect. Neither one is perfect, but the House version still outshines the Senate version, because it does give us more discretionary funds to spread the money around where we need it, rather than dictated by Austin.
So, Mrs. Scott, that's all I have.
Thank you.